everybody. It's Stephen and Walter here. I'm Stephen. This is Walter. Yeah, as if you didn't know. For another episode of So Chatty. And this is episode number 181 for April the 4th, 2025. So, last week we said we were going to talk about something totally different from what we're going to talk about this week. And in a few minutes, I'll explain exactly what the difference is and why we changed it. But right now, let's take a look at what we've been working on. Walter is wearing his screw shirt.
Yeah, I finished my screw shirt.
But there's something he screwed up on.
No, I didn't screw up on it. I always try to match my pockets, but for some reason, the way this pattern repeats, I could not find. I could find ones that matched the top, and all the screws looked like they were supposed to be in the right spot, but for some reason, I couldn't get it to line up. So it's not lined up. So it's lined up at the top, but it's okay. It's a busy enough pattern. It's not that noticeable. And it annoyed me because I tried it. Tried it with two different pieces of fabric, and I couldn't get it. And after a while, my eyes were going bug-eyed with all the screws on.
So screws, and you have screws, and you have nuts, and you have nails.
Yeah.
Nail screwed nuts. Okay, there's the shirt. But anyways, it's still a nice looking shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I like that fabric. It's almost as nice as
it is
my
nice.
kitty.
Actually, it feels really nice and soft.
And of course, this is just an old one that Walter made some time ago. You've seen this one before many times.
It's old pussy.
It's my old pussy shirt. Yep. Never mind. Don't go there. So, what have I been working on? Well, you know that I've been working on baby stuff. Don't have a baby. Got to find the right button to push here. Here we go. So I have 2/3 of the giraffe quilt done. I have 10 more rows to go. And then I have to decide whether this is going to have a border or not have a border on it. And then it's got to go on Lucy, and I have to decide on the quilting pattern for that. Then after that's done, I have to take it off and get it bound. So yeah, there's still work to do on this, but it's working out okay. But I will tell you one thing. Working on this pattern can really screw you around if you're geometrically challenged like I am. It isn't difficult. Those are all squares. They're all 2.5-inch squares. So it's either solid squares like the blue, or it is some of them are half square triangles. That's all there is to it. A lot of cutting, because those background squares, the blue ones, those ones, there's 401 of those that you have to cut out. Thank goodness I have an AccuQuilt. Now, before anybody says something, because somebody already has, well, why use so many squares? Why not just do long strips? Yes, you could, but here's the problem if you do that. Having the squares is a design element. It's almost like it's one of those pixel types of quilts. If you just use solid strips of fabric across, I don't think it would have the same effect.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't think it would have the same impact. And I'm sure that Tracy Perks, who's the designer of this, that's what she had in mind too. I'm pretty sure she didn't design it just to aggravate everybody with the tediness of sewing together a whole bunch of little squares. It is part of the overall aesthetic of this quilt. And I think it almost makes it, when you look at it right now in the state that it's in, it almost looks like it's already quilted. It's not, but you have that kind of effect. I think it gives it texture. Also, I think if you were to do it in just straight strips of fabric, I think you have more of a chance of it going wonky.
Yeah, I think so too, because then you'd have to measure your strips exactly the right length.
Yeah.
And make sure that it conforms it to each part of it. And it would look stupid if we only did it part way, right? So.
Yeah. So yeah, I think so. So I think that Tracy had the right idea when she designed this, because that's what she wanted. Now, once you have everything cut, it goes on together pretty fast. But as I said, it's very easy to get things screwed around. Now, she has a grid in her pattern, and it shows you row by row the order that each square is supposed to go in. But I've already ripped out a few of them. And what I decided to do is my eyes were not separating the grid that she had out clear enough. So I made my own grid. I put one row on, each row has its own separate piece of paper. And what I do is I take her pattern and I write down what the color block is. It also doesn't help that I change the color scheme. So when I'm looking at her layout, her legend for what colors she used, you can get them mixed up because there's 3 different shades of brown in this. You can see I have a light brown, I have a dark brown, and I have a batik in there as well. So,
and you also have sort of a caramelly color.
yeah, well, that's what I'm calling yellow,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's more caramel. So it can get a little bit strange on your eyes. So I found the best way to do this was to have my own little grid. I write in with a pencil, like if in each square, there's 21 squares in each row. So like blue, 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 batik, batik, slash, yellow, which means a half square triangle, and then getting them right spot. And then I have little design boards, and I lay them all out in the order I need to sew them on the design board. And then after I get the strip sewn together, I double check it against the main pattern again, just to make sure. And then when I'm putting it up on my design wall, and the reason you see this 2/3 of it already sewn together instead of leaving 30 rows, and then there's thumb, leaving 30 rows and sewing it all up at the end. Again, you can get your rows out of order. So I do 10 rows at a time, and I have every row marked. This is row 1, this is row 2, this is row 3. Because it's very easy taking it down from the design wall, lining it up, getting all your intersections matched up. You go through a lot of wonder clips. And by the time you get over to your sewing machine, it's very easy to flip something around. Ask me how I know. So, yeah, but it isn't difficult. The end product is worth it. And as I said, once you get going, it doesn't take all that long to do it. I've just been having a hard time maintaining my interest. Yeah, my focus I've been doing other things too. So, and this is something you do need to focus on. You shouldn't be trying to do 2 things at once with it. Again, ask me how I know. So that is eventually going to be done. I'll ship it out when it's all quilted and everything to my niece, and for her new baby, our great niece, Clara. Now, no, that's all that I want to show you there. I did show on Idiot Quilter this past week. I'm also making for Clara some baby bibs that I did in the hoop, and we put the snaps in them yesterday. Originally, I was going to do Velcro, and I had several of you say don't do it. Don't do Velcro in the bibs, because they said after they've been washed repeatedly, the Velcro loses its ability to really stay together, which I did not know. They recommended snaps. Well, I didn't have any, so I ordered plastic snaps and a tool for them off of Amazon.
Yeah, because I suggested it because, yeah,
of course you did.
Yeah, because I've read that a lot of people use plastic snaps on baby clothes.
Yeah. Well, the problem with the plastic snaps that I ordered, their little pointy part is not long enough. It does say in the instructions that came with them that these were only really good for 1 layer of fabric. Well, with the baby bibs, I'm going through 2 layers of fabric and a layer of battleizer. So, yeah, and they just don't hold. But Walter had some metal ones. They have a little better system on it. And once we figured out how to install them, that took a bit, and found all the tools we needed, that took another bit. Yeah, that worked out better. So I have washed the baby bibs, and they washed fine, no problem. With that, gave them a light press, and they're ready to go. There are 4 of them: 2 pigs, a teddy. If you saw Idiot Quilter this week, you know I had a little problem saying teddy on there. But rest assured, that design of a bib is a teddy, not a, and what was the third one? Oh, Blue Bear. Yeah, Blue Bear. Blue Bear. I think they're cute. And I got to get this thing done quickly because she might get too big for the bibs. I don't know. Okay. So that's what I've been working on. Let's go to announcements. Sewing with Stephanie and Steven, as usual, Wednesdays. Maybe we'll have Stephanie, maybe we won't. She's at her retreat. I think it starts tomorrow. And I'm not sure exactly when she gets back next week. I don't know if she gets back on the Tuesday or she gets back on actual Wednesday. So we'll see, and she may be tired out from the whole event. Pop-up sew day. Not this Saturday. Saturday, April 12th. And next week in all of my videos, there will be a Zoom link to that. Yes, we just had a pop-up sew day, but I'm kind of doubling up right now because come the middle of May, there will not be any pop-up sew days for a few weeks in that. Plus, we have the retreat coming up on August the 20th, April 26th. And so that takes me to that. Next week, Monday, you will find it goes up live at 7 a.m. Monday, April 7th. Everything you need to know about the retreat, which is on April the 26th, how you register for it, all the ins and outs and everything like that. And again, it is a free event. And I am not going to tell you too much about it, but I had a very generous grouping of prizes donated to me by a quilt store, an online quilt store that isn't too far from our area. And, well, you'll have to be signed up for the retreat to find out what those prizes are that you could possibly win. But there will be lots of prizes, okay, as well. All right. So let's see. All right. Last week we said we were going to look at the features that we have forgotten that our sewing machines will do. And the way we were going to do that is go through our manual and highlight things that we thought, oh, I should try that. Well, I did that on my manual for the M7, and I did find a few things. But then I got thinking about it. But if you don't have an M7, or in the other case, it would be a 6700P Janome, if you don't have those machines, you won't necessarily have those features, or they won't be called the same thing. And I thought, this might be a waste of time.
No, that they use different feet too.
Yes, that's right. So that idea that we thought was such a good idea at the time has gone out the window. But we have another idea. And this is going to be, well, I got this idea because I saw a video last week where a lady was talking about scammers selling sewing machines online at bargain basement prices. And they were doing it, making it sound like they were Joann's. Now, you know, Joann's in the States has gone out of business. They're in, what's the term? Receivership or bankruptcy or whatever.
Bankruptcy.
So they are, in the stores that are still open, they are having liquidation sales. But there are scammers out there that make it look like it's Joann's that's advertising on the internet. And in fact, it is not.
And they're selling this heavily discounted sewing machine.
Oh yeah, like very heavily discounted.
Like 80% off or something.
Yeah, so just let me see here. So the video that I am talking about, and I will put this in, not in today's show notes, but I'm going to talk about this in more detail, the video part on Idiot Quilter next week, and the link will be there. But if you don't want to wait till then, you can easily get to it real quick. It's this first one at the top here called Beware of Sewing Scams. I don't know this particular person. I guess she goes by Julia Gobert or something. I don't know how to say her name. Sewing Julie. And she talks about it. She talks about a few other things too, but she talks about this latest scam. And her bottom line is, if the price is too good to be true, it's not true. Because she says there's not a huge markup on sewing machines. And for them to offer 80% off on a major sewing machine, you know it's probably somewhat suspicious. I wouldn't recommend buying a sewing machine online no matter what, because I think you need to go into a store, you need to put your hands on it, you need to have somebody who's a dealer talk to you about the machine. And if you buy one online, you don't have any support, basically. So, buyer beware. But there are all kinds of these sewing machine scams. And this is just a list. All I did was I put in sewing machine scams in Google search bar, and this is what I came up with. Free Singer sewing machine giveaway is too good to be true. Here's the catch. You too can be fooled. Side hustle sewing machine scam. Beware of job scams. Okay, this one almost sounds like it might be AI generated. The grammar seems a little weird. Either that or somebody who does not, English is not their first language. Avoid computerized sewing machines. Here's why. I don't think that's one so much on a selling. I think that has to do with, computerized ones. I haven't watched it, so I don't know. And then there's ones that aren't so, not directly related to scamming on sewing machines. But that one rose right to the top. That's here, and it's worth watching. I find her a little annoying to listen to, but it is filled with some very good information. So basically, scams and tricks to get our money. And we know this. All manufacturers, all retail, all of them have some tricks in order, well, they're a business. They want to make some money. But the question lies on, where is it proper business practice, and when does it step over the line into just ripping
not
you
only
off?
that, they also seem to be running on the coattails of like a business that's going bankrupt, and having deep discounts, and the vulnerability of people being cheap.
Yeah. And, like this lady said in her video, if it's too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Then it ain't true.
Yeah,
That's right.
you could be accidentally giving your credit card number to somebody that is going to take advantage of you on having your credit card information or your personal information, and that you're not supposed to get it.
Or they send you something that is not what they're advertising.
Yeah, or they send you something that they're not what they're advertising, or they're sending you absolutely nothing.
And you'll have no recourse to get your money back. It's gone. So again, another good reason, in my opinion, not to buy a sewing machine online. Or if you are, make sure it is a company that has a storefront and they are a reputable company.
And I also would think that these companies would also try and encourage you to do a money transfer to them instead of using a credit card. So
yeah, because you could always go into your credit card and stop that. When you figured out it was a scam. You could do that with the bank too, but it's more complicated.
Yeah.
With it all. So, no, beware. Be very aware. Especially, this is a big ticket item. And if you're looking at a sewing machine, like if I saw somebody advertising an $8,000 sewing machine, like an Janome M8 or something like that, for $2,000 or for under $1,000, no, red flags should go up, because nobody has those machines at that price, no matter what. So this, of course, opened up all kinds of other things into my mind here about how we have to be careful. Because let's face it, our main way of shopping these days for most people is not brick and mortar stores. It's online. We're constantly ordering online for things. Why? Well, it's convenient. We don't have to go out of our house. Many of these places offer reasonable shipping costs. In some cases, it's free, depending on the price of the item or items that you're buying. And we're all a generation of Amazon users.
Yeah, and unfortunately, as for some of the brick and mortar stores, that takes a toll on them, because there aren't people going out shopping anymore. There's people going out shopping online, and the small items that they sell on that normally you would go out, drive out and get, they aren't selling as much of anymore.
No. And the other thing too is, when we were all in shutdown with COVID, that was the only way we could shop. And so people who maybe customarily went to a brick and mortar store suddenly discovered the world of online shopping and have never given that up. Now, I know there's going to be some of you out there say you don't care about that. You want to support your local brick and mortar stores, and that's fine. That's fine. But not everybody has one that's conveniently close to them. I hear of some people that have to go half a day's trip to get to one. So it becomes a road trip kind of a thing. Whereas you can go on to sites online, it comes to your door. So yeah, to each his own. It's sad, but I think the days of the brick and mortar stores are basically numbered. They've been diminishing for a while now.
And it's also selection too sometimes, because the fabric that you may want, you may have some fabric you want to get, and the local store may not carry it.
Yeah.
So that also is true for garment fabrics. Like a lot of garment fabric stores are going out of business because a lot of people are shopping more and more online, and are used to some of the qualities that you can get from an online store as opposed to a local brick and mortar store.
Yeah. Which brings up the question as to, why are Joann's going out of business? Is it bad business management? Is it because their customer support base is diminished because people are buying online? Is it because they carry cheap shit? And I don't mean that in price. It's expensive. Joann's is expensive. That's why they always had the coupons. I can't say much more about Joann's because we don't have them in Canada. Our equivalent to Joann's is Michael's, and they're still doing very well.
Yeah, and we also had one called Fabricland, and a lot of their stores are closing out as well. But they have that model where if you went in and paid the full price for what they are offering, it's very expensive. But then they get you to buy a discount card, and they give you 50% off if you put money down for the discount.
But you're really not getting 50% off because they jacked up their prices to cover that. And like quilting cotton, which is horrible in the fabric land. I'm glad to see them
the
go.
quilting cotton in the fabric land is poor quality.
And it was very expensive in comparison to quilt store fabrics.
Yeah, like you won't find Moda, and you won't find the big names like
Riley Blake,
Robert
Kaufman.
Yeah, in the fabric land, you find these unknown brands of quilting cotton. Yeah.
And some of them are seconds, and Walter explained the other day, how can you tell a second?
A lot of times you can tell the second if if you look at the selvage and you see the little color dots on the edge of the selvage, right? They're supposed to all line up when they're
not supposed to look blurry.
They're not supposed to look blurry. And if they look a little off or blurry, that's a misprint of the fabric. And I mean, you may like it and buy it, but if you don't be paying full price for it because it's a second fabric.
And that's what they were doing at Fabric Land. And so that's another reason why they went out of business. And also most of the people that worked in Fabric Lands that we were in our area were crabby all the time.
Yeah, really? You got poor service at these.
It was very bad service in them, which makes you wonder, well, why were these people this way? And I can only say it was because of the way they were being managed in there, and how they were being treated as employees probably. But that's a topic for another day.
Yeah.
But the point here is about things on sale. So another, now this isn't a scam, okay? This is a business practice that you see more and more online. You go on and you will see, I guess I don't have oh, yes, I do. I do have a picture of what I'm talking about. Just let me find it here. Here we go. Okay. I took this off an online quilt store somewhere, just one I picked at random. And you won't know the name of it because I cut that all out. But this is a common practice. You see here, you've got prices. These are on sewing machines. You see a price that's crossed off, and then you see this price. Well, this price that isn't crossed off is the one you're going to pay for it. They don't say this is a sale in this case. Well, they sort of do, because you look up here, it says save $800. Save $485. So this makes you think that, oh, they're having a really great sale. But it's not a sale. You come back to this website in a year's time, if they've still got the same products, you're going to see the same prices. You're going to see the same method here. And this is something that's very common. And it's common on fabric, on certain websites as well. And it seems that a lot of these companies that have this are dealing with one of those, I don't know what you call them, a point of sale company, I guess, you know, like Shopify or things like that. And this seems to be something that's built into Shopify's structure for the website for these stores.
Yeah, they'll show the suggested retail price.
Yeah.
And then they'll give you a price at the store selling it at. And it makes it look like it's a sale when it's usually, a lot of times it's usually the actual price at the store. It normally charges for that.
Yeah. And the other thing too, if you notice the stars, and they're telling you, like this one, this item here, this Brothers Sewing Machine has a 5-star review. This Brothers Sewing Machine has a 5-star review. This Brother Machine has a 5-star review. This Brother Machine has a 5-star review. Well, does that not suggest that then these are fake? They've all got these high stars. But just to make sure, I clicked on the rating. There was 14 ratings on this. This says real shoppers verified by Farah.ai. Well, it's been verified, but is it written by? Is there now? I didn't click on it further to see if there is a written review or if it's just a rating, but you can't go by that. That doesn't tell you anything. So this is why I'm saying, if I was looking for a sewing machine and I was going to buy this offline from this site, well, I don't know if I'm getting the best possible price, because oftentimes you go in, the dealers have some wiggle room. I know our local dealer does. You can go in and you can sort of negotiate.
Yeah, a lot of the companies, a lot of sewing machine companies, and a lot of actually general companies in general, whether it's sewing machines or vacuums or something like that, usually have a bottom line that the store can advertise.
Yeah.
On it. And even though the store might sell it for less, they're not allowed to advertise that amount, because what ends up happening is that they become more competitive than all the other sewing machine dealers, right? So, and they don't want that it to create, you know, like panic to shop at one store, and to have one store mainly undercut another store. And a lot of businesses do that in sales and that too. Like, I mean, if you want to buy like a Dyson vacuum or a TV set or something like that, a lot of the they tie the retailer's hands in saying that they can't advertise the price. Now, a retailer may just say unadvertised price. You have to contact us to find out the price.
Yeah. But they're not allowed to put it up in a public, like on a
public forum,
on a page, on a website or something like that. So that's why I say that I would much rather go in and talk to the dealer and look at the machines. That's the other thing. You want to look at the machines too, as well, with it. But you got to be aware of these things. This is all here. This is not a scam per se. It is what I would call, it's a sales trick. It's to get your attention and to get you to spend your money with that particular company. And many retailers, online retailers, do this trick. It's there. So that's one thing to be aware of. Now, another trick when we're talking about prices and things like that are, let me just find it here. Okay, I buy a lot of online embroidery files. In fact, that's about the only way you can buy them anymore, is you have to go online. And I go to legitimate sites like Designs by Juju, Sweet Pea, OESD, Embroidery Library, and there are others. These are all upfront companies. They're not scamming you, but you will find this on all of them. They'll be different, but it's the same idea. There's always a sale. I always say, if you find an embroidery file you really want, but you think it's a little on the pricey side, give it a couple of weeks. It's bound to be part of a sale very soon, especially seasonal items. Right now, you'll find deals on Easter themed things because we're getting close to Easter. Same thing happens at Halloween. Same thing happens at Christmas all the time. So and they usually have multiple types of things on sale. Spring into savings, 5 singles for $8. Okay. 50% off our entire site. 50% off our entire site. April 2nd to April 15th. Discount applies to single designs purchased in multiples of 5. Oh, wait. Fine print. Okay, now it gets confusing. I can get 5 single designs for $8, but it's 50% off the entire site. But that discount only applies to single designs purchased in multiples of 5, meaning I have to buy 5 files before I can get the 50% discount. So there's a limitation here. And then down here, bonus bundle, 4 in the hoop designs, 2 embroidery designs. Well, what's the bonus bundle? I don't know. Let's look. 4 in the hoop designs, 2 embroidery designs. Free. Oh, it's free. Great.
Free with any single $30 purchase.
Okay, with any single $30 purchase. Now, does that mean one design? Well, the only designs that would cost that much are usually collections that you buy. Or does that mean my entire order, if I spend $30, will I get this for free? I don't know. I'm confused. How do I find out? Well, let's see. Bonus bundles will only be available during a specific time frame, and they've got the time frame. Once the time frame is over, the bundle items will go back in the vault. Okay, another ploy here. It's going back in the vault. That means it won't be available for you don't know when, ever.
Yeah, and I guess the free items you wouldn't be able to buy.
That's right. That's what they tell you.
Yeah.
Is it true? Not sure. Okay, here we go. Bonus bundle offer. 4 in the hoop projects, 2 embroidery designs. I am confused. Oh, this bundle includes, well, it tells you what you get in the bundle.
Okay, now it says spend $30 or more on one order to receive your time frame pre-selected bonus bundle. So it sounds to me you can buy several things
as long as it's up to $30 or more. Okay, little bit confusing. And you want to know something? It's confusing on purpose. This part is probably borderline scammy.
Yeah, because here it says with any single purchase. So immediately you might think, oh, I got to buy at least a $30 design, right? But it isn't until you scroll further down that your whole purchase could be included as if it's $30 or more.
So very confusing. It is meant to confuse you. It is meant also, you know, it's the wording here, the verbiage in that. Most people won't read all of that. This is what you're going to focus on right here. Free, free, free. And it's flashing these pictures up here. And if you look at the pictures carefully, they're only showing 3 designs. They're in different colorways, but they're only 3 designs. So, yeah. So what are you getting? You don't really know until you start loading up your cart and you go to checkout. And then by that point, you probably have seen things you really, really want. So you're not going to care.
And not only that, do you really want these designs?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, some people, I've got sucked.
And I've done it
before.
too.
is, oh, I'm going to get a free design if I buy something for $30. And then I get it. And then later on, I think to myself, do I really need this design? Will I ever make it?
Yeah, I did it the other day. Now, that's the one I want to talk about the other day, because this one I wasn't sure if this was even real or an April Fool's joke, because it was on April the 1st. So I went to, what site was that? Shoot, I don't remember.
Sweet Pea?
No, it wasn't Sweet Pea.
Was it?
I almost want to say it was Designs by Juju, but that's not on there anymore. But that may have been limited.
Creative Kiwi?
No, it wasn't Creative. I don't think it might have been Creative Kiwi. Anyways, it doesn't matter which company it was. They had this, and I have to give them credit for this. This was kind of an enticing sales idea. You could get up to 5 free designs if you found the Sasquatch or Bigfoot footprint icon. You clicked on it. This came through as an email because I'm on their mailing list. And they had a link. You clicked on the link and it took you to a page where supposedly these are hidden somewhere on these designs. There were 30 pages of designs, and it was not easy. So you had to keep scrolling and looking and looking. Well, while you're scrolling, you'll see things. Oh, that's cute. Maybe I'll put that in my cart. And before you know it,
it's like the old IKEA method where they force you to walk through all the aisles. They force you to scan through all their products before you get.
Well, I started to scroll through and I'm looking for it. I'm thinking, why am I wasting my time? Because I have no idea what these designs I'm going to get for free if I find them are. Now, there was no minimum purchase. I didn't have to purchase anything. So I wrote to them because I was PO'd at this trick.
Not only that, because it was April 1st,
I also questioned whether this was a joke. So I wrote to them. I didn't expect an answer. I said, well, I'm really not pleased with this promotion. Obviously, you just want people to scroll through your designs. You're trying to entice them to sales on things, and I've got better things to do with my time than go through 30 pages of, all these different designs. I got an answer back. Oh, it's not a joke. Yeah, and they had a little graphic showing me exactly what it would look like on screen when you found the Bigfoot print. So you know what I did? I had some time to kill. I went through all 30 pages, and they said there was 5. I only found 3, but I got 3 free designs. Guess what? They're crap. But now it was a thing. So in my mind, okay, I know you're going to think I'm just twisted, as if you didn't think that already. I'm thinking, I beat you at your game. I got my freebies and I didn't buy a thing. Yeah. Of course, I'll never get that hour back again in my life.
In the meantime, you might have found 5 things that you like.
Yeah. And there were a few things I did like, but I didn't buy them. On point of principle, I didn't really need them. But yeah, it's tricks like that. They were calling it a scavenger hunt. Let's make a game out of it, shall we? Not quite a scam. I guess a clever way to get people pulled into the site.
Well, it's just like sometimes with newspaper ads, they'll at a furniture stores were always popular with this, is that they show you a really great deal on furniture in the first page, and when you get there, they wouldn't have it.
Yeah.
But they did have an alternate thing that was just as nice for you to purchase.
Oh, was it? Yes.
For only a few dollars more.
Just a few dollars more. Okay, now here's one. I have never dealt with this. I've heard many people complain about this, and if you're on Facebook, you know what it is. It is called Facebook Marketplace. So I went to Facebook Marketplace and I did a search for quilting to see what's here. Now the idea is people put up things they want to sell. So these are individuals, not necessarily companies, although I think companies sneak their way into this as well. Well, okay, like quilting fabric squares, 5 by 5 inches, Clarington, Ontario. Funny, Clarington, Oshawa, Toronto, Whitby, these are all close to where I live. So is this focusing upon my location? And that's why I'm getting ones for nearby areas? Maybe. And in some ways, you could say, well, that makes
Well,
good
if your
sense.
filters is Oshawa, Ontario, within
Oh,
65
is that why? That automatically, I
Yeah.
didn't put that in.
Yeah,
Okay, so that automatically
yeah.
put that in. Oh, okay. Well, it doesn't, that's not such a bad thing because, however you're going to get these, if you find something you want, it'd be better if it was somebody local. But I'm wondering, okay, this one, I'm questioning this and this one because of what they're calling them 5-inch by 5-inch squares. Those are commonly referred to as charm packs or charm squares. Or did somebody cut these out of their scrap fabric? Maybe. Now, I do know that charm packs is actually almost a copyrighted name because that was created by one company calling them that. So maybe they can't here call them that. But let's just see what we're going to get. Oh, well, aren't those pretty ugly? But so this is a set of 40 fabric squares, die cut to 5 by 5. Oh, okay. So what it basically is, somebody took their leftover fabrics and probably had an AccuQuilt and cut 5-inch squares out of them and are selling them. Okay, well, that's not such a bad idea. If you want to make a little extra money, you got this stuff rather than sitting on a shelf or, or ending up in landfill or something like that. So, I mean, I don't have anything against that. That porch pickup in Curtis at Nash Road and George Reynolds can also mail out by non-tracked letter mail within Canada cost to be advised. Okay, so I would say this is kind of legit. It's on here and they're showing you what they've got and they have different sets. They've got the mark, so A, B, and C. But I have heard that there are things in marketplace that are a scam. So how do you figure that out? I don't know. Here's a sewing machine, a Janome C30 for $300. Oh, look at here. Look what's sneaked in. Temu.
Oh.
Temu's on here. Okay. Etsy, and Etsy stores are private, so Artistic Quilter.
Yeah, I think Janome put those out.
Yeah. Okay, so that's somebody that's legitimately got it and selling it. It's not a company.
Now, mind you, it could be a store too that's selling them.
It's a possibility.
They get a what do you call it? A resale in.
Yeah. Now there may not be anything wrong with this, but what bothers me is how do you know that who you're buying from you're actually going to get it? How do you know what condition things are in unless you can really see it? Or are they being honest about it? I saw on here when I was looking earlier.
Well, I think in this case, you have to be buyer beware type of thing as to what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. Okay. At first I saw this one. They're selling a wool mat. And I saw this on it. I thought, what are they hiding under that? And then I went to their next picture. It's the number. That was number 1. Here's a box of crap. That's $20 for that whole box of crap. Here's some more semi-crap. These are patterns, probably have been used. I mean, that's not so bad. Well, this one though, for all of the things you get here, it's $50. And here,
obviously getting rid of some supplies.
Yeah, and so maybe this is somebody cleaning out somebody's house who's passed away or something. I mean, maybe there's stuff in here you'd want. This one looks enticing. $200. Oh, I don't know. Looks like, what's that? That looks like a bolt of like steam seam or something.
I don't know. That's hard to say what that is. That interfacing, it almost looks a little too.
Yeah, don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't look right.
So, and there's no description.
No.
So, you'd probably have to message them and ask, well, what's really in there? Okay, this is a big thing of scraps.
Yeah.
Looks like they've been cut to a 2.5 or 3-inch square. Well, there's some bigger ones too. They want $50 for that.
That doesn't look like $50.
And sideways and $50 there. So, I mean, okay. legitimate seller, probably, but I don't know. So if you like this kind of thing, I think you're still taking a chance, unless you know the person.
But just beware, be buyer beware, because there are times people there's Kawartha Quilting.
Oh, it's sponsored.
Oh.
Okay, now here's another thing about the sponsored business. I don't know if Kawartha Quilting puts this up, or if this is because Kawartha Quilting has a presence on Facebook and their algorithm just plops these things in. I don't know.
I think if it says sponsored, I think they're paying.
They must be paying for it. Yeah, paying to advertise on there. Now they're a legitimate company.
Yeah.
So I would trust them. But
just be careful about transferring money to somebody that you're picking up stuff from, and that just.
Yeah, what is the method of payment here? Let's see. This is yarn. Condition used like new. Okay. Pickup. Oh, not far from us. Highly rated on Marketplace. There's her name. So we have a name. Seller details. I guess that's all. Oh, here you go. She has a Facebook page as well. People talk about her. Oh, she shows more things. Oh, she's selling everything. But what's her method of payment? If I decided I want it,
well, you can send her a message.
I guess you send a message and find out.
And you decide how it works.
Yeah.
For payment.
Look. We have the little trick here too.
Yeah.
With the line through it. Now, another thing on Facebook you'll find is if you're just looking at all the posts and things, you get advertisements for everything.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that I have heard people say are really bad. So maybe Marketplace isn't so bad. I don't know if I would chance it.
But like I have heard of, okay, this not so much for the quilting stuff, but again, if a sewing machine is being advertised for an unusually cheap price, which I don't find that's unusually,
that's not a cheap
not
price.
A good price. So.
That's not a good price. Used like new. Who's the seller of this? Oh, there's the seller. Okay. Okay, that price though for a used machine.
Yeah, for a used one of those, that's what they were going for new. In fact, they were going cheaper than that new.
So you need to know your prices too.
Yeah.
Although it does look in really good shape, and I'm looking here at the table, and the numbers are still, mine are starting to rub off on this table. So, and I'm looking at her buttons, and her buttons are, look fairly, see, my buttons, these things are starting to wear off from use as well. So, yeah, I would say this is in really good shape, but I think $6,000 is too much for it.
Yeah.
But you'd have to know your prices. So that's one thing. Facebook Marketplace, mailing lists that come from, and I think we've all been victims to this. You know, they have a newsletter. They have a, be on our mailing list, find out first about our upcoming prices and sales and things like that. And you get inundated with emails from them. Missouri Star Quilt is one of the worst. I stopped subscribing to Missouri Star Quilt. I was getting at least 3 to 4 emailings a day. Every day, Saturday and Sunday included. It was boggling my mind. It's way too much. It got to the point where I don't even want to order from them. Not that I do, because they're in the States. But, you know, it was just ridiculous. There was another one here in Canada called Dinky Doo. Still there. Dinky Don't is what I say. One of the worst ones to ever deal with. I reviewed them some time ago as well. Always have everything on pre-sale. Pre-ordered, that's right. And you never know when you're going to get it. And
I know you
never when they say.
You ordered some batting from them one time, and it took you well over 6 months to get the batting.
Yeah. and they were horrible with the mailings, just horrible with it. Would not deal with that company whatsoever.
And you're not the only one that I've heard that from.
No.
I've heard that from several other people as well.
Yeah. And I wrote to them too about it, and they don't answer emails either. I finally did get a hold of somebody, and they were belligerent with me. I want to know when I was going to get it. And I said, I didn't say it in a nasty way or anything. I says, hi, back 4.5 months ago, I did the pre-order, and I was just wondering when I can expect to receive my order. Because they did say it was going to take, at the time, it would take 3 weeks or something like that. Well, 4.5 months is not 3 weeks. When they did send me back a reply, they said, oh, we had a problem with the shipping. It wasn't our fault. You'll be getting it very soon. 2 more months went by. So, yeah. And as Walter said, I'm not the only one that had that problem with them. So, yeah, the constant emailings that come out, just after a while, turn you right off about it. And the idea is they're making you panic. They want you to think, oh my God, if I don't act now, I'm not going to get in on this deal. Yeah, you will. They'll have one next week or tomorrow for you. It's like Missouri Star. They've got a really clever method. It's called the Daily Deal. Every day they have something that's on for a really good price. A really good price. But it's meant to make you panic. And yeah. That's kind of like how used car salesmen work and real estate agents. Okay, so moving away from these, let's talk about patterns. This was something in that very first little video I showed you about scammings from Joann's. This lady talked about this too. And with the invention of AI and being widely used on the internet now, yes, AIs can write patterns. But can they write them well? And that's the problem. But you will see a lot of patterns online now that have been either written by AI or are just downright stolen from somebody else, and they've copied it over and they're selling it themselves and not giving credit to and no royalties to the person who wrote the pattern in the first place. And there's a lot of that going on. And how do you tell? Well, it's very difficult. But the AI, I thought what would be interesting. Well, first of all, patterns that are scammed, they want quick turnaround to sell them. So if they're getting AI to do it, they may not be written well and they'll be full of mistakes. And of course, once you've got the pattern in your hand, you're not going to be able to get a refund on that from them, from whoever sold it. The other thing too is about these kind of patterns and stuff. Because they're generating them so quickly and that they could be, and they're not maybe using AI for it. If they're cutting and pasting, well, there could be also all kinds of problems with that. There's enough bad patterns out there that are written because nobody proofread them or had a technical editor for them.
Or like they're just somebody that decided, okay, I made a pattern and I'm gonna write it up and had nobody check it. And then you buy this pattern and you can't follow it.
No. And that gives a bad reputation. It spins off onto legitimate pattern writers that spend a lot of time putting them on, because people might get leery of that and only go to patterns that are being sold by mainline quilt stores or that kind of thing, and might be missing out on a lot of people who are a small little home industry kind of a thing, writing patterns. Pattern writing is not easy. I know. In fact, it is one of the hardest things you could ever do, I think, is to write a pattern. It's not a question of sitting down and slap it down. No, there's a lot of things that have to be taken into consideration.
You can't just write down a stream of thought.
No.
In letter format and expect somebody to know how to put it together.
You have to make some basic assumptions before you start writing them. One, that the person that's going to be using this pattern doesn't know as much as you do about it. So you have to write it at the lowest common denominator for them. You basically have to write every pattern as if the person using it is a complete and utter novice to quilting or to sewing, even if they're not. Better to err on the side of that way than err on the side of making an assumption that the people doing this know exactly what you mean because they're experienced with it, because that's where your mistakes will come in. And there's other things to take into consideration. Quilt math, hard. Okay.
Yeah, and getting people to test it, and not the same people over and over to test a pattern, because people will be, the more experienced quilters or the more experienced garment sewers or whatever will skip over parts of it.
Yeah. So, yeah, but I thought, okay, AI patterns. Now, I've been playing around with AI, and it can do some very amazing things. And we're all victims of AI now. We can't escape it. If you do a Google search, the first thing that's going to come up on your search is Google's AI. And it'll put together information for you right off the bat. And sometimes it's okay. Sometimes you might have to be a little skeptical about it. But that's stuff that it's gleaming from the internet. It's just pulling information and putting it together in a coherent way. When it comes to AI pattern writing, can AI actually write a pattern? So I thought I'd do this. So I did today. I went into Gemini. Gemini is Google's AI. And I went to the freebie version of it because I'm not paying for this stuff. And this is what I put in. You put in a prompt. And I put in, create a quilt pattern that uses shades of blue and half square triangles. It wrote me a pattern. Here's the pattern. It even named it. It calls it, I didn't give it a name. It called it Blue Cascade. Theme, flowing shades of blue with half square triangles. Color palette, light sky blue, medium azure blue, dark navy blue, off-white cream. Block design. The quilt will be constructed primarily using half-square triangles, arranged in various orientations to create a sense of movement and a cascading color effect. Block size, 6 by 6 finished. Half-square triangle size, 3.5 by 3.5 inch, unfinished. Okay, so far, fairly legit sounding. Layout. The quilt will be made up of rows of blocks arranged to create a gradient effect, with the lightest blues at the top and the darkest at the bottom. Block construction. HST creation. Cut squares of, and then they use shortened forms for each color, which is good. To 3 7/8 by 3 7/8, cut squares of. So you're cutting squares. So basically, this is how you do a 2 at a time half square triangle. Okay. I would round it up to 4 inches and trim it down. This one's going very literal to 3 7/8. I don't like working with 1/8 of an inch, but so far so good. Tells you how to do it. Pair each blue square, draw a diagonal line across, sew a 1/4 inch on either side, cut along the drawn line, press them open, and then trim to 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Okay, that would work. That would work. Block assembly. Each 6 by 6 block will consist of 4 half square triangles. The half square triangles will be arranged in different orientations to create various patterns and rows. This is where I think I cut it off a little bit. It went a little further, but legit pattern. Simple one, because I put in only simple parameters. Then I asked the AI, but I went to a different program. I went to ChatGPT and asked it to create a picture of the quilt using this information that I put in here for this pattern. Yeah, that's not quite what I had in mind. Okay, that's a little bizarre. What's that?
Are you showing?
Oh, did I not show the other?
I don't know.
Oh, shoot. Sorry, did I show you this when I was talking? I thought I had it up there. I
don't know if you did show that or not.
Oh, I think I did. I think I did. But anyways, here's what the pattern looks like and everything I just said, if in case I didn't show it. He always does this to me after the fact.
Yeah,
and then
well, I get lost in what you're talking about too. And then
anyways, I'm showing it now. Here is what AI generated as what the quilt would look like. Well, not quite right. Now, you can fine tune it. You can do different ones. I just picked ChatGPT because I've used it before. But there are other ones that are more
no, see, this
sophisticated.
one is different. You've got create a picture of quilt.
Oh yeah, I forgot. I changed the
contains
pattern.
half square triangles
And flying geese blocks. Well, guess what a flying geese block is? Half square triangle, two put together. Well, not quite, but pretty much. Anyways, it doesn't matter. The point I'm trying to show here is AI can do this for you. Now, if you want to write a pattern, you could use this as a jumping off point because you can download this. See, you can export as a doc file. Then you can use that and go in and do your editing. So it gets you started. So if you think of it more less as a rough draft of something, it might be very helpful.
Basically, it just helps you write a pattern.
Yeah.
So you can use it as a start for creating a pattern.
Now, the interesting thing was, and might be down the road, I might do this experiment. I might go in and put in a little bit more detail of what I want it to create a pattern. Like say, I want a square and a square surrounded by flying geese blocks with a mosaic star or something like that. Something a little more complex. See what it does, and then see if I can make the quilt just from their instructions and what the problem would be. That would be an interesting experiment to see. I don't know if I want to waste my time trying something like that or not, but maybe a small one. Yeah, I could try that and see down the road, just saying. But what I'm saying is, as AI programs get more sophisticated, they will be able to write a quilt pattern. And you'll get pictures of it. And that's how people will do this. AIs are already writing books. Okay.
And they're also generating video programs too.
Yes. And that brings us to YouTube creator content or YouTube content creator tricks. I thought I had a thing here.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't have an actual picture for that. But you know what the kind of thing is. From clickbait, I use clickbait. But there's clickbait and then there's clickbait. Some people will put in, see my mother naked. And the content has nothing to do with that. And I don't want to see anybody's mother naked anyway. So, I mean, but I'd be curious why they did
I just heard the worst possible news.
Yeah. Or, well, we saw an example actually up here in the sewing machines one. Free Singer sewing machine giveaway is too good to be true. Here's the catch. Avoid computerized sewing machines.
Yeah,
oh, shoot. Okay, sorry, I keep forgetting to hit the button. Okay, Free Singer sewing machines, as I said. Avoid computerized sewing machines. Here's why. Well, most of us probably have computerized sewing machines, so that's clickbait, depending on what's in there. Sewing shop owner scams customers out of thousands, leaving them on pins and needles. Okay. Dangerous. What was wrong with this vintage sewing machine? Beautiful and dangerous. Okay. They even use little graphics in there to grab your attention. Steal or scam. Why? I won't buy a computerized sewing machine again. And then their graphics that they have on all of these. Don't fall for it. Watch this first. Okay? These are all content creator tricks to get you to their site, to their channel. And they're not necessarily scams, but, you know, it's like book titles, newspaper headlines. It's the same diff there. But it does get us sucked in to go there. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't go and check them out, because I find that more interesting than someone says, want to see my sewing machine? No. Want to see the new sewing machine I bought and why I won't ever buy it again? Yes, I'll go and see it. Or why this wasn't a good deal? I'll go. Got me talked into that. And then there's other things that I hate about some YouTube content creators. They have advertising. They are sponsored. And you know, you get in the middle of their video and My video is brought to you by Bed in a Box, by household cleaning products, by whatever. And they have this whole 2-minute in-line commercial. We already get a lot of ads on YouTube.
Or they create the whole video as if they're giving a review on a product, and then all of a sudden in the middle of it, they are trying to sell you the product.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I don't think, I know why they do it. They do it because they're monetized. They do get money for sponsorships and things like that. I have been approached many, many, many times every week. In fact, I've had 2 already today approaching me to partner with them and sell their product. And all I have to do is put up a 1-minute little blurb about the product. And they'll send me the product, or they'll send me compensation of some sort. And I've never done it. And I've been tempted. Sometimes I'm thinking, oh, if I can get a freebie. There was one that they were going to give me a microphone system free. And I thought about it. I really seriously considered it, because I checked out their product and the whole bit, and it was a nice microphone system. But, well, that's what they're implying. There may have been a catch in that. But I'm not getting involved in that kind of thing. But many do. And you've seen it. You hear it. And I find it extremely annoying. But it's to suck you into that channel. Whether you stay with that channel will depend on their content. Okay, Gimmick products. All right, I bought a Gimmick product recently, and I did review it, and it cost me a lot of money, and I don't think it's worth the money. It does sort of work. It's Magic Binding Maker, and basically it's a really cool little device. You take your fabric, you fold it like you would when you're starting to make your binding, and then you, okay, get that out of there. Then you put it in this little clamshell thing, and you close it down, and you pull it through, and without any heat or anything, it has little rollers in there that press on the fabric. It creases the fabric and makes you a perfect binding. Not really. There's a little tract inside there that you put the piece of binding through, and that's supposed to guide it through the machine. It doesn't. There's too much play in it. Your fabric will, after about 6 or 7 inches or so, start to go a little cockeyed. So you're stopping, you're straightening, you're pulling it through. The other thing is, it slides. You need to put it on something that's rubberized, in order so that you can pull it through without it, without the whole little gizmo flying all over your table. You had someplace to go?
No.
Fine.
I just got a message from Alexa. Oh, haunted house is going to start.
Oh, it's that time. Okay, good to know. You probably didn't need to know that. Anyways, what I'm saying about this product is it's a gimmick. It sounds really good. But it cost me over 50 bucks Canadian. It's cheaper in the States, but by the time I paid for shipping, I paid tax and Canadian prices on it, it cost me about $52 and change. And I really haven't used it extensively. I have experimented with it. I see the pitfalls. The next time I'm making binding, I will use this, and I'll get back to you and let you know how well it works. But quite frankly, I think it's way overpriced. And so many things that are sold for quilting are. For example, I bought an electric seam ripper, and I have done a review on it. All it is a little hair trimmer, and it does a wonderful job. However, the first one I bought and was so excited about, I bought it at my local quilt store. I paid over $25 for it. I came home, I showed it to Walter, says, "You're not going to believe this thing. Look at this. This works so well." And it does. It works really well. I use it all the time. Walter says, "I think I have one of those." I says, "No, you can't possibly have one. They just got them in the store. You don't even quilt." He goes, "No, it's a hair trimmer." And he went through it in a drawer and pulled out the exact
pulled
same
it
thing.
out. It was a cheap hair trimmer that runs on a battery that I bought for my mother when she was in a nursing home, because they asked me to get it for them to trim off hairs that were growing on her face.
Like a witch. But
and it was actually, what was weird about it is it was exactly the same brand that Steve bought, except the one that I bought at Walmart, and it was I can't remember how much I paid. I think I only paid about $10 for it. and it was silver and black.
Mine
And
was
his is pink and purple.
Yeah. So after that, we went hunting. Guess what? In a dollar store, we found them for $4 a piece. Exactly the same thing. And in fact, I have several of them as backups because you won't always find it in a dollar store. We found them in Dollarama, which is a Canadian dollar store. But, they change things all the time. So if you want one, don't pay $25 or $30.
And in fact, I've even seen ones on what that used to be that dime, which is the designs and machine embroidery, and they call it for ripping out your embroidery stitches. But in their case, it was an electric one. It wasn't a
battery
operated one, and they wanted $97 for it, American.
That's a scam.
Yeah, that is a scam
That's
because
a scam.
it is actually a hair trimmer.
Yeah,
a clipper.
But you see, because it's in a quilt store, you pay quilting prices for it. It's a niche. So that's something to be aware of too. Just as a sideline here, when you're in a quilt store and you see a new thing, try to resist the impulse to buy it right then and there. Look around. You may find something that's the same as or very much the same as somewhere for a lot less money because it's not in a quilt store. So another gimmick. I don't own one and I won't own one, but it sounded like a great idea at the time. It was a light up ruler. A ruler with a LED light built into it. It's made of acrylic, and it was so if you had a hard time seeing numbers or the lines or something, this lit right up. Sound like a really good idea. Really great price too. Like $80 to $120. They have them in different sizes. I'm not going to mention who the person is that's selling them, but it's a ripoff. It is a ripoff. And I've seen other people talk about that they bought one and they said they wish they'd never spent the money because it didn't make their life any easier. But if you have bad eyesight and you'd like to work in a room that's completely dark when you're cutting fabric, it might be a godsend for you. So that you have to watch these gimmicks. They're always coming out with gimmicks. Okay. Another thing though, that really is getting my goat. And this involves quilt stores and content creators. And it is quilting cruises. Everybody and their dog is having a quilting cruise. You've got people on YouTube who are content creators who have quilting cruises to Alaska, to Holland, to Europe, and all of this stuff. You have stores.
There's bus trips.
The whole bit. They've become travel agencies. Well, not really. These are put on by travel companies. They get linked up with a content creator that's well known or a store. And this is how they pull people in. First of all, these cruises are not cheap. In fact, you pay a premium price to go on one of these cruises as opposed to going on the same cruise, but just if you were to book it not as a quilting cruise. They entice you by putting celebrities on the ship with you that are going to be teaching classes. First of all, why would I want to go on a cruise and quilt? Now, mind you, they quilt supposedly only on at sea days. Well, you have a whole ship of entertainment as well on a cruise ship. Why do you want to lock yourself in the bowels of the ship sewing? It seems to me it's very expensive for that. Plus, you can't bring any of your stuff with you. They usually supply the sewing machines, but your cutting tools, your rotary cutter, your scissors, an iron. You can't bring an iron on a cruise ship. Now, they provide those things for you as well, supposedly, but there you are. So, in my way of thinking, this would not be the kind of cruise I would go on. I mean, if you want to do that kind of thing, if it does float your boat, then go for it. But it seems like everybody is offering them now. And there's river cruises, and there's sea cruises, and there's land bus
Yeah,
trip.
and then they're trying to get people to promote these cruises.
Yep.
They're trying to get people to go on it because it back to, like, the quilting store that's sponsoring it, or the quilting person that's sponsoring it, is obviously getting some money or some
Yeah.
reputation from it. And they also, because you have to pay extra for it, you're also paying basically the instructors through your
Yeah.
through your fee on the ship. You're also paying for like supplies that they're providing, the instructor, things like that, and the instructors that come on board. I have to be paid, and their spot on the cruise has to be paid.
Yeah.
So
Now, some people might say yes, but what you're getting is you're getting all your meals on this. You're getting nice accommodation. You're getting entertainment. Yes, you're getting all of that. And you get all of that on a regular cruise. Why pay extra? Because it's a quilting cruise. It goes back to what I just said about items that you buy in a quilt store that you might be able to get somewhere else. Now, maybe this is something that entices you. Maybe you want to do this. And if so, fine, more power to you. You do you, but
you may look at it as a vacation that has the bonus of quilting.
Of quilting. Yeah.
But for me and him too, is that when we go on vacation, we just like to go on vacation. We don't really want to have to, like, on my sea days, I can find other things to do than have to go down to a
sit on the
river,
balcony,
so.
drink champagne, have canapes. But yeah, I mean, to each his own, but I'm just saying that these are not scamming. They're just a way for a quilt store or a content creator to drive business their way as well. So there you go. It's all the price of doing business.
Well, I guess
guess.
as long as people are going and they're making.
Oh yeah,
money,
and
so.
lots of people do. Lots of people do. They sell them all the time. So just not my cup of tea. But looking at it from the point of view of,
but everybody wants your money.
Practice. Yeah, everybody wants your money. And that's the whole point of what we're talking about today. Everybody is out to get your money. And the quilting world is no different from any of the other types of businesses out there too. So I guess the bottom line of all of this is try not to get suckered. Try to think about what's behind what you see that's a really good deal or something that's enticing you. You're still going to get suckered one way or the other. We all do. I am just as much of a victim of these things as you are, because I see it and I go, ooh, like that little magic binding thing. When I saw that, I thought, oh yes. I mean, I have a perfectly good system right now. That's a device that I use that I like. It was expensive too, but it works. And this one, I think they need a version 2 to come out. There's some improvement that needs to be done. I think the concept is a good concept. I think it's not quite there yet.
Yeah, because isn't it when you're pulling the stuff through it, sometimes it goes awry.
Yeah, it goes awry.
And then you end up getting the fold in the wrong place.
So the only real advantage to it in its current state is you don't burn your fingers because you don't use heat with it. But it's just a couple of minor refinements to it. But like I said, and they're charging you a lot of money for this thing too. So yeah. Okay. So that's this week. I hope you got something out of it. And we're still looking for ideas for future So Chatties. Again, we're still searching for, what we can develop into a series, because we like to do series on here. And from what I gather in your comments, you like them that way too. You like series as well. And next week we may do a deep cleaning of Walter's Janome. See how that is. And when I say we, I mean Walter will do a deep cleaning of his Janome with my guidance.
Yeah, I have to review how to do that.
Yeah, well, I have to review that too, how to do that. But anyways, I've done my own machines. Now we have his. And his will be interesting to see really how much crap does build up in them, because it has never been deep cleaned. Ever. Ever, ever, ever. And that machine is now 7 years old.
Yeah, and I've
And it's been
run a
used a
lot of
lot.
fuzzy things through it.
Yeah, so it'll be there's probably little bunnies in there just to chatter in their little teeth, those little dust bunnies. But anyways, that may be for next week. We shall see. Okay, so join us for our live on Sunday and next week's videos and everything. And of course, Pop-Up Sew Day on April the 12th. April the 12th, Saturday, April the 12th. So hope you all have a good weekend, what's coming up, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.
Bye for now.